So welcome to today's class as we are going to focus on the back side of the body, the glutes, the abductors that come around the sides of those hips, and then the front of the hip flexors. So just take a few breaths here on the ground, breathing in and breathing out as you let your body relax, and just notice the parts of your body that are touching the floor. And we're going to slowly bring awareness to our glutes on the back side. So just squeeze your glutes while you're lying here. Just squeeze them and then relax them. And then again, squeeze and relax. And let's do that one more time. Squeeze and relax. So when our glutes are weak, our quads and our hamstrings have to work even harder as there's an imbalance created in the body. So let's reach our arms all the way up and overhead. Take a nice big stretch. Exhale, bring the knees into the chest, wrapping the arms around the legs. So our glutes are actually the muscles that help to stabilize the femur into its hip socket, and it helps to rotate the leg and draw it back in. So this muscle group is jeopardized when we have what you call gluteal amnesia, or an overstretching or an underuse of that muscle group. And it could also be caused by over clenching or pushing too hard when running or hiking. So it's important to pay attention to this area. So with our knees to our chest, we're going to roll to one side of our body. We're going to do some clamshells to wake up those abductors and those rotators. So roll all the way to one side. We're going to keep the feet together and the knees together, legs stay bent. And we're just going to inhale and reach that right knee up towards the ceiling in a little clamshell, and then bring the knees back together. And then again, lifting it up. And do about 10 to 15 reps and bring them down. So we're just going to begin to wake up those rotators. Nice. So it's important to have a nice supportive backside. It's the key to having a safe and pain-free practice. So you have the whole area of the backside, the gluteus maximus, the medius, and the minimus. So we'll try to work through that area today. And after you've done your 10 to 15 reps, go ahead and roll to the other side and do 10 to 15 with the left leg. So whatever repetition you did on the right, repeat that on the left. And really working those rotators. You might even begin to feel a little bit of a burn if you haven't used this muscle in a while at that upper outer part of the hip. So the abductors are the muscles that help to take the leg away from the body. And then the adductors are the ones that help to bring that leg back towards the body. And after those 10 to 15, just return to your back. And we're going to prepare for a bridge pose here. So feet hip width apart. And we want to be mindful to keep that inward action of those thighs. So the thighs and the shins should be parallel to each other. Imagine that you're squeezing a ball between those legs, and keep that inward rotation in that bridge. So we're going to just press up into a gentle bridge, lifting the hips up off the ground. Arms can press down into the ground beside you. And then while we're in our bridge, we're just going to lift the right foot off the floor about an inch. So we're going to press in with that. That's way more than an inch, but that's okay. You can lift up maybe an inch to 6 inches, lifting up and just hovering it off the mat. If that's too much, just lift the heel and keep the toe on the ground. And then switch sides. Lift the left leg up, again 1 to 6 inches off the floor, checking in with the back side. And then again, switch, lift the other leg up. And bring it down and lift the left leg up. And bring it down. Let's lift it up again. Right leg up again. We're going to do this about 4 times on each side, holding for a couple breaths, and then release, and then the left leg lifts up. And release. One more time on each side. Right side lifts. And release, and left side lifts. And release. And release the hips down to the floor. Bring the knees into the chest. Try to relax the back side. And from here, we're going to do a little hamstring stretch. So right leg stays in, left leg can extend or be bent. So right leg stays in, left leg releases. Just keep your right knee into your chest, left leg down. Yeah. Yeah. And then straighten that right leg up towards the sky. Little hamstring stretch here. It could be a reclined big toe hold if you want to hold on to that toe. And we're actually going to bring this leg across the body. So maybe grabbing the foot or the ankle with that left hand and then draw that right leg all the way across the body, stretching that IT band in the outside of that hip. And then gently bring it back to the center, and we're going to switch sides. Release that leg down, draw the left knee in, squeeze it in to start. And then straighten the left leg up to the sky. Go to recline big toe hold here, or hamstring stretch. And then we're going to take it across the body, right hand to the left leg, and bring it all the way across. And then bringing it back to the center once again, and bending both legs, knees to chest. Now to activate through those hip flexors, we're going to come up to seated into a boat pose. So you can keep the knees into the chest and rock and roll yourself up to seated, keeping the legs right out in front of you. And then we're going to hold, just like Gabriella is doing, with those feet hovering just off the mat. You can hold behind the thighs if you need extra support, or arms can reach out on either side of those thighs, holding and hovering in your Navasana or boat pose. Activate through the core, activate those hip flexors, holding those legs up. Really activate the lower abdominals. Another breath. And then slowly release the legs down to the floor. Go ahead and straighten them out for a moment. Sitting back in your, in a forward fold here. So inhale, lifting the arms up. Exhale and fold forward. Just begin to tap into the back of those hamstrings with both legs. Enjoy the stretch. And then we're going to spin those legs around behind us and come to all fours. So bringing the hands under the shoulders and the knees under the hips. We'll begin to move through a few cat-cows just to loosen up the spine. So inhale and turn your gaze forward, arch the spine. Exhale, round it up tall. And then again, inhale, arch forward, arch the spine. Exhale and round it up tall. And do about 3 more at your own pace. And last one. And then from here, come back to a neutral spine. So we're going to lift the right leg up behind us and bend that leg so it's 90 degrees. And we're just going to flex the foot, and we're going to press the sole of the foot up towards the sky as if we're trying to put our footprint on the ceiling. So a little glute exercise here. So just press that right foot up and then bring it back down to neutral. And then press it up, squeezing that glute, and bring it down. Again, press it up. And again. And again. And then hold right here. Extend that leg straight behind you, and then reach the opposite arm forward for a spinal balance. And then slowly release down to the floor, and then switching sides. Left leg lifts up, bend that back leg. Sole of the foot flexed, and then press the sole of the foot up and back to neutral. Press it up, really squeeze those glutes as we lift it up. And again, and 2 more times. Squeeze and lift, bring it down, squeeze and lift, and bring it down. And then straighten that leg behind you, spinal balance on this side, right arm reaches forward. Really pull that lower abdominal in and up, strengthening through the back, the entire backside body. And bring it back down to all fours. So we're going to do some fire hydrants, little hip circles. So we're going to lift that right leg out to the right. And again, think fire hydrant, right? So right leg lifts to the right, and then we're going to do circles. So they're going to bring that leg down, around in a big circle, and then the knees are going to come back together. and then lift it out to the right, and then bring it around and behind you, and then knees come back together. Just one big circle out to the side, bring it back down, about 5 or 6 times in one direction, and then we're going to switch directions. So about 3 more times. Nice. And again. Working those rotators 1 more time. And then switch directions. So lift the foot straight up behind you this time, and then go out to the fire hydrant, and then the knees come back together. And again, reach it back and behind, out to the side, knees back together. Keep going. It's 3, and about 3 more. And after that last one, bring it all the way back and behind you, reach it back. And then we're going to bring the nose towards the knee underneath the body, so round everything out, about 6 times, bring everything together, that's 1. And then do about 5 more at your own, reach it back, knee together. You can keep that leg bent or straight. You can bend it and do a little arch here if you want, and bring that toe towards your ponytail or the top of your head, or you can reach it straight back like Gabriella's doing, it's your choice. But just bringing that nose towards the knee about 6 times. And then after that last one, we'll just bring the legs back together and we'll switch sides. So left leg lifts out to the left, and then circles around behind you in an external rotation, and then together. So about 6 times going counterclockwise, and then 6 times clockwise. And really imagine that femur bone, right, in that hip socket as the two come together, just really drawing a big circle. Right? And then think about all the muscles that surround that joint and all of them working together to rotate that leg around. And then after you finish going in one direction, then lift it straight behind you and go in the opposite direction. Go back, out to the side, knees together. And then back, out to the side, knees together. Good. And then after that last one, we're going to reach that straight back and behind us, nose towards the knee, about 6 times. I don't know why 6 today. I guess it just seems to make sense. And then after that last one, we're going to come into an extended child's pose. So allow the legs to come down to the ground. Let the toes to touch, the knees to separate, and the hips to go back towards the heels. So child's pose is a great position that helps to stretch all the way over those glutes, all the way up and over. So really try to separate those knees and allow those hips to sink back towards the heels and create a nice stretch on the back side of the body. And then from here, let's come all the way to belly down. So shift the weight all the way forward into those hands, and let's come all the way down to our bellies. Let's pause in Sphinx. So bring the forearms to the mat with the elbows right under the shoulders. Try to relax the back side of the body here. So in Sphinx, we want to relax the glutes, relax the legs, and just hold a nice arch of that spine. And then slowly release down. We're going to extend our arms out in front of us, and we're going to think of like swimming or like a little flutter kick. So we'll keep our hands down for now, but just lift the right leg up off the floor, squeezing the glutes and using the back side of the body to lift. And then exhale and release, and then left side lifts up. Squeeze those glutes and down. So we're going to repeat that about 5 more times. Now you can just do the legs like we're doing, or you can reach the opposite arm up. So as Gabrielle lifts her right leg up, she'll lift her left arm up, and you can even lift your head up too if you want. And then release down, and then right arm and left leg lifts up. So we're activating that cross body motion on the back side of the body, and release. And about 4 more times at your own pace. Lifting up and release, and up and release. To really focus on the stabilizer muscles here. Muscles that go down the spine and through the glutes. And down those legs. Last one. Oh, I guess you're fine. And then child's pose, sitting the hips back towards the heels. Just be sure you're nice and even. And then from our child's pose, let's walk our hands over to the right and get a little side stretch here. So sometimes when we're in child's pose, we can then reach those left hips over towards that left foot. And it's gonna just get a little bit different stretch around the back side of that hip area. And then over to the left. And then back to the center. Really extend those arms all the way out in front of you as we prepare for downward facing dog. So lift those elbows up, spread those fingers apart, tuck your toes under, and lift the hips up. Maybe keep the knees bent to start if our hamstrings are still tight. And maybe pedal the feet, begin to wake up your body in your first down dog. Another breath here. And then just to open up the front side of the body, let's just do some little three-legged dogs here. So right leg can lift up. Get a nice stretch. Maybe bend the knee and open the hip. Maybe peek under that left armpit, looking for those toes. Right, so we're opening up through that right front hip flexor. And then we'll switch sides. You can bring that leg back down and then switch, lift the left leg up, get a nice stretch. And then bend the knee, open the hip, peek under the right armpit, look for those toes. And then leg reaches up and bring the feet back down. Let's lift the right leg up for a three-legged dog. Now we're not really going to go anywhere. We're going to bring that right foot all the way forward for a low lunge. So bring that right leg forward, hands stay down, turn your gaze forward, and allow those hips to sink a little lower. You can always drop the back knee if we're not quite ready for the full lunge yet. We just want to begin to wake up those hips and the muscles before we begin to work them. And then back into your three-legged dog. Just kick it back and back into dog. And then left leg lifts, three-legged dog. And left foot forward, low lunge on the other side. And if you dropped your back knee, feel free to drop your knee on this side. Gaze turns forward, opening the heart and the chest. And then back into your three-legged dog, lift it up and back. And feet come down. And let's walk our feet towards our hands, pausing in a forward fold at the top of our mat. Bringing those feet parallel. So imagine your feet are actually shaped like triangles. So people often keep the same gap between their heels and their big toes. But really, if we draw a line from our heel down between our second and third toe, that's the center of our foot. So our toes will be slightly towards each other and the heels slightly separated in order for those feet to be parallel to each other. It's a little different mentality there. So be mindful there's no external rotation. Soften through the knees, and we're going to bring our body all the way up to stand. All the way up to a stand. Exhale, hands by your side, pausing in a mountain pose. So our feet should be in that position, that nice parallel position. We're engaging through those thighs. Activate those inner thighs. So imagine all of those muscles hugging the bones and those hips in position. Slightly tuck the pelvis, so drop the tailbone down, activate those lower abs and pull them in and up. So imagine your lower abdominals are tightening and pulling up under your rib cage as the tailbone descends at the same time. So really want to activate through that pelvis. Get all those muscles working. Activate the pelvic floor. Let's inhale the arms up and overhead, and we're preparing for chair pose. So exhale and sit those hips back and behind you. Be mindful that the hips go straight back and down so we really activate those glutes and that we can see our big toes in front of our knees. Be mindful those knees don't slide forward, but instead the hips go back. I like to just use the analogy of a porta potty squat, right? So the hips go straight back and down. Really activate through those glutes. Feel the fire in the muscles. Imagine that you're trying to move the floor apart with your feet. So our feet are down, but imagine that we're trying to spread our mat apart with the feet. So we're not just setting those feet down, but we're actively pushing those feet outwards. So that way we're activating the outsides of those legs at the same time. Holding for one more breath. And then exhale into your forward fold. Release. Head hangs low. Pause here. From here, let's step back with our right foot into a low lunge. Hands can stay down. Turn your gaze forward. Nice low lunge. Step it back into your plank pose. Lowering through chaturanga. Inhale into upward facing. Exhale into downward facing. And then we're going to bring the right leg forward into a low lunge. So switching sides. Turn your gaze forward. Drop the hips. I'm taking a full breath here. And then both feet top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way back up to stand. Exhale, hands by your side, back into our mountain pose. So taking a moment to realign mountain, preparing for that chair. So aligning your feet, hugging the muscles in. Descend the tailbone, belly button in and up. Really activate the pelvic floor. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, have a seat in your chair pose again. So really work those glutes, maybe going a little further than you did last time. We should really activate the backside. And remember that action of trying to push the floor away from you, left and right with those feet. So activate those abductors, those outsides of those legs, right? Those muscles that are going to rotate that leg. We're pushing them out to the left and to the right. Think of a slip and slide, right? That our feet are very slippery. About halfway there. Keep breathing. Maybe go a little bit deeper. Again, make sure we can still see our big toes. Exhale, forward fold. Pause here for a full breath. And then left foot goes back into a nice low lunge. Nice and deep. Turn your gaze forward. Open the heart. Stepping it back into plank. Lowering down. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing. 3 breaths here. And left foot comes forward, coming into that low lunge on the other side. Gaze forward, heart open. Both feet top of the mat, forward fold. Pause here. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up to stand. Exhale, heart center, pause. So finding that center in our mountain pose. Again, remember the feet, the legs, the glutes, the belly. Inhale the arms up. Exhaling into chair pose, sitting the hips back. Pause in chair. Now in this chair, you can move your hands to your sides or out in front to reduce the lever length, or they could be on your hips. We're going to shift the weight into the left foot and just lift the right leg off the ground, keeping chair. Nice. And we're just going to check in with that balance, check in with the strength of that leg, activating through the glutes. And then switch side. Place the right foot down, lift the other leg up. Check in with the strength of the opposite leg in your chair pose. And back into chair, both feet down. Take a deep inhale. And then exhale, forward fold. Bring everything down. Hands come to the mat. Step or hop your feet back into plank pose. And then we're going to lower all the way down to our bellies. Bring it all the way down as we prepare for our locust pose from here. So our arms are going to reach back by our hips. So we did an alternate swimming action earlier for warm-up, which we can repeat here, or locust pose. So arms reach back by your sides, reaching towards your feet. And we're going to lift the feet up off the ground into locusts. So both legs lift, and then lift the chest up, reach those arms back. Squeezing the entire back side of the body. We're holding for 4 to 5 breaths here, so breathe. Be sure the tailbone is descending down towards the back of the feet. Be mindful that we're not squeezing and clenching that low back. Exhale and release. Turn your head to one side. So we're gonna do a couple of rounds of this, strengthening the back side of the body, strengthening those glutes, the hamstrings, the back muscles. And again, locust pose, reach those arms back. And then lift the legs. If you've been practicing locust, maybe begin to bring those thighs together, bringing the feet together, working those adductor muscles at the same time, right? Arms lift, squeeze the glutes. Remember to send that tailbone, lifting the heart. And exhale and release. We actually should have held that a little bit longer, but that's okay. Head to the other side. So if this hurts your pubic bone in any way, maybe play with the pelvic tilt once you get into locust. You might have to kind of shift your pelvis around slightly based on your anatomy to find a more comfortable place to rest and lift into locust. And let's do that one more time, locust pose, as we lift up. Squeeze and lift, maybe getting a little bit higher this time. And then exhale, slowly release. And after just a nice breath to relax here, let's press it back into our child's pose again. So hands come by your chest, press it back. And from here, downward facing dog, tucking our toes under, lifting our hips up. And let's lift that right leg up for our three-legged dog. And bring the right foot forward, coming into a lunge on the right side. This time we'll lift our arms all the way up for a high lunge. Bring it all the way up. And then sink down those hips as far as you're comfortable into your lunge position. Being mindful that front knee stays over that front ankle. Be mindful the belly is pulled in, the tailbone is descending. Knitting those lower ribs. Exhale, slowly release your hands back down to the floor, and let's drop our back knee to the floor. For a hamstring stretch here, shift the weight onto the back knee, straightening the front leg. Nice. And then shift the weight back forward into that front leg. Tucking the back toe under, we'll move through our vinyasa or meeting in downward dog. So you can step back into plank, lower through your chaturanga, upward facing and downward facing. A good breath or two here. And then we'll switch sides. Left leg lifts up and left leg comes forward. High lunge on the other side. And once you find your lunge, align your body, right? Knee tracking towards your pinky toe. We want to hug everything in. So we still want to feel that those inner thighs are hugging inward as if we're trying to bring them together like scissors, right? So we don't want them wide apart and going in opposite directions. We want to feel as if those inner thighs would just glide right past each other. Exhale, release your hands back down to the floor, preparing for that hamstring stretch. Drop the back knee. Shift the weight back, straighten the front leg, stretch the hamstring. And then shift the weight back forward, moving through your vinyasa or meeting in downward facing dog. And let's lift that right leg up for a three-legged dog as we come into a warrior two. So right leg lifts up. Let's bring that right leg all the way forward and then pinwheel those arms all the way up into a warrior two position. So keep that right knee tracking towards that right pinky toe. We want to press down into the back ankle. We want to feel that left thigh rotating inward towards the center of the body. And then reverse warrior from here, reaching that right arm up and back. So keep the activation of the legs as we still want to work those glutes and the leg muscles. Another inhale here, exhaling into side angle pose, bringing the forearm to the thigh, reaching the other arm all the way up and over. And then let's bring that left hand to the left hip, preparing for half moon pose. So right hand is going to go out in front of the right foot about 6 inches, and we're going to shift the weight into that front leg, lifting the back leg up. There we go. Yep. Left arm can stay on the hip or reach up. So bring that hand right underneath the shoulder. Flex that left foot, keep it nice and active. So we're actually stabilizing that right hip and right rotator. So it's all about that foundation leg. You can soften that right knee if you want, as we're focusing on that foundation holding us up. Nice half moon. And then slowly bring that foot back down into a warrior two. So bend the front knee, allow that back leg to come all the way back down, warrior two. And then we're going to pivot to face the side of our mat for a forward fold. So just pivot to face the front, feet are parallel. Exhale, forward fold here. And pause. Just a nice wide-legged forward fold. And from here, we're going to exercise some lunges. So you might want to change your stance a little bit, bring them closer in or further apart, depending on your flexibility of your inner thighs. So we're going to turn our gaze forward as we allow our hips to sink down, shifting our weight over to the right into a lunge on the right leg. So just shift your weight to the right. Right? Keeping the feet planted to the mat if you can. And then inhale, bring it up, back to center, and shift to the other side. So if our feet stay parallel and grounded, we'll hit that inner thigh and then shift to the left. There we go. Let the hips sink down, hearts forward. Right. So we're really beginning to hit the muscles that are around that hip joint. And back to the center, forward fold. Forward fold. And from here, let's go ahead and just bring the body all the way up. And we'll just go ahead and hit our warrior two on the other side. So pivot to the left, warrior two, and we're going to repeat all of that on the other side. So right heel presses away this time. Activate that right thigh, rolling it in towards the front. Right? So hips stay open to the side. Yep, but we want to feel that thigh rolling. We want that left knee tracking towards the left pinky toe. Activate through the fingers, activate through the shoulders. And then into reverse, reach the arms up and back. Right hand down the back leg. And then into our side angle from here, forearm to the thigh, arm reaches up and over. This is when we really begin to bring that power into that front leg. So we want to activate that thigh, activate that hip. We want to ground down through the foot. Right, we know we're going into half moon, so this is where we begin to tap into that strength of that front leg because we know it needs to hold us up in just a minute. So we don't just want to dump our weight into our forearm, we really want to activate and power up that front foot and front thigh. And then right hand can come to the right hip, and then we'll allow that left hand to go out in front of the left foot, preparing for half moon. Lifting the back leg up and behind us, flex that right foot, activate and reach. Rolling the shoulders back. Opening through the chest and the heart space. And then back into our warrior two, bending that front knee, allow that back foot to come down, pinwheel those arms all the way up, and then pivot on the feet to face the side of your mat. And then forward fold, maybe hands reach for the big toes this time as we come into a forward fold. Elbows can reach out to the sides, heart pulling towards those thighs. then slowly allow the body to come all the way up to stand as we face the side. As we come into a goddess squat, so we're going to turn the toes out and allow the hips to sink down into a goddess. Hands can come to your waist, right? Being mindful the toes and the knees are right over those ankles, right? And then maybe we explore lifting the heel up off the ground on one side, and then down, and then the other side, and then down, maybe both. And then heels down, slowly bring it all the way up and turn the toes back to center. Let's come back towards the top of our mats. Both feet come top of the mat as we prepare for our tree pose. So finding your center, finding your balance, coming into your mountain, and then just shift the weight to one side, lifting into tree. So before we go into deeper balancing, we just want to check in to see how we're feeling today. Arms can be out to your sides or at heart center, whatever is most comfortable to you. And then release, and let's do the other leg. So shift the weight to the other foot. Tree pose. And slowly release. Let's come back into a chair. So separate your feet, preparing for chair pose. We're going to go back to that lifting of the legs. So prepare yourself for chair. Align everything with the legs. Inhale the arms up. And then exhale, have a seat in your chair. Utkatasana. Hips go back. And again, hands can be wherever they're most comfortable. Overhead, out to the sides, on your waist, whatever feels best for your back. As again, our focus is on our hips and our glutes today. So shifting the weight into the left foot, we're going to lift that right leg up, hovering it off your mat. Right? So check in with that foundation leg. And then from here, we're actually going to sweep into a warrior three. So we're going to allow that right leg to sweep behind us as we bring and teeter the heart forward, sweeping into a warrior three. So all about that deep rotator in that left leg holding us up. Now, from our warrior three, we're going to bend and straighten that foundation leg. So holding warrior three, just bend and straighten a couple of times, really feeling the strength and power of your upper thigh to hold your body up. If you're near a wall, you can always grab a hold of a wall, but a good 3 or 4 bend and straightens here on that right leg, or left leg, or whatever leg you're on. And then our warrior three. Let's go ahead and drop our hands all the way down to the floor and allow the back leg just to kick all the way up. Just get a nice big stretch out of it. Nose can go towards your knees. And then both feet come down, forward fold. And then slowly bring the body back up to stand as we prepare for the other side. Inhale as the arms lift all the way up and overhead. Exhale, sitting back into your chair. Again, adjust your hands if you need, and then preparing for the other side, lifting the opposite leg up off the mat. Again, hug everything in, use the muscles, use your core. And then slowly sweep into warrior three as that leg sweeps back and behind you, heart comes forward. And then bend and straighten that lower leg. Be mindful not to straighten it all the way either. We don't want to lock that knee out when we straighten. We just want to keep it just shy of straight so we don't put any undue pressure on the back of that knee. Just bend and straight, find your foundation. And then after that last one, allow it to teeter down, back leg to lift up, nose to knee, stretch it out. And bring everything down, forward fold. And then bring it all the way back up to stand. I think we only have one more chair to go. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale into our chair pose. So now we're going to do a balancing chair. So maybe bring the feet and the knees together. Might give us a little bit more stability here. Sitting the hips back. Balancing chair. So we're going to lift those heels up off the ground. If that's too much, maybe just lift the right heel up or the left heel up. And squatting down as far as you're comfortable in our balancing chair pose. Squeeze the knees and thighs and ankles together, everything squeezing inward and hugging that middle line. And we're going to see if we can lower all the way down into a tiptoe seat. So we'll bring our hips all the way to our heels. Nice. And then the hands come down to the mat. Nice, nice tiptoe. From here, we're going to keep the heels up high. I think we can still see you. And just drop your knees to the ground. Let your knees hit the ground with your heels staying up high. Yep, perfect. And we're just going to sit right here. So really stretch the arches of the feet. And just pause for just a moment. And then release your toes back, pointing your toes back. So you can shift onto the mat if you want to shift back a little bit. And then point your toes back and sitting your hips back down onto your heels again, this time stretching the front of the ankles, all of that chair pose. If you need more of a stretch on the front of the ankles, you can bring your hands by your sides and lift your knees up off the mat, bringing your heart towards your thighs. Yeah. Oh, whoa, yeah. So that'll just stretch the front of your ankles if you happen to need a little extra. And then slowly release that down. And we're going to move into a child's pose from here. So if you need to adjust yourself on your mat, maybe shift the legs back, separating the knees, hips go back, arms reach out. Once again, finding our child's pose. So from our child's pose, we're going to go find our pigeon. So let's come up to all fours, and we'll slide our right knee towards our right wrist, and then allow the back leg to go behind us. Bring the hips down towards the feet. And then exhale into a forward fold over that straight leg, or over that front leg, sorry. And just take a good 6 to 8 breaths here in your pigeon pose. Allow that right hip to rotate open. Now if you want to add a quad stretch here, we can bend that left leg, bend the heel towards the bum, and one or whichever arm makes sense to you can reach back and grab a hold of that foot and pull that heel towards your bum. If you want to get a quad stretch on that left leg at the same time. We're going to slowly release that down. Coming back into your pigeon. From here, let's tuck the back toe under and lift into a three-legged dog. So back toe lifts, tucks under, press up and lift. Right leg lifts all the way up for a three-legged dog. And then from here, we're going to flip the dog. So bend the knee and open the hip, and then allow that foot to come all the way down to the floor, and then reach that right arm all the way up and over. Maybe that left leg stays straight, or maybe it bends. But arm reaches all the way up and over, creating a back bend here. And then bringing the hand down, back to all fours as you prepare for pigeon on the other side. Left knee comes towards the left wrist. Bring it across the body. Walk the back leg back. Hips come down, and then exhale, heart comes down. And again, 6 to 8 breaths here. And then when you're about halfway through that, if you want to add the quad stretch, or if you added the quad stretch on the other side, maybe add the quad stretch here as well. And then from here, releasing that leg, lifting up into your three-legged dog, tuck the back toe under, lift the back leg all the way up, bend the knee and open the hip, and then allow that top leg to land on the ground, flipping your dog, reaching that arm up and over, a little back bend. And then coming back to your center. And we'll come back to all fours, pause in a child's pose, sit the hips back towards the heels. Stretch it out and create some balance and some evenness between the left and right side body. If it feels good to walk your hands to the right and to the left again, maybe take that action. And then slowly walk your hands, And then when you're ready, we're going to come to seated. So you can walk your hands back towards your knees and allow your glutes to come down to the ground and allow those legs to swing out in front of you. Coming into a staff pose, flexing those feet. Let's just explore our forward fold here. Inhale the arms up, exhale the arms forward, forward fold, Paschimottanasana over those legs. Really bring the heart towards your thighs and keeping that pelvis tilted. And then slowly bring the body up. So we're going to take a little different action here. We're going to take that right leg and we're going to cross it over the left leg in that forward fold. And then we're going to begin to walk our heart forward into that forward fold again. So we're going to tap into a little bit of that outer hip, a little IT band stretch. So we're going to take that left hand while it's there. It's going to reach down for that right foot or that right leg, anywhere along the leg. So left hand grabs hold of the right foot, the one that's on top. Yeah. And then we're going to lift that leg straight up as we sit up. Nice. And then we're going to open that right arm to the right and add a little twist. Yep. And then let's bring our body to the center, grabbing a hold of that leg with both hands. Pull the heart up, pull the leg up, lift. And then head to knee pose here. Let's bend that right leg into that left thigh. Open that knee out to the right side. And then walk your body forward over that front leg again. And then slowly bring the body up. Back up to stand. So now we're going to bring that leg behind us into half a hero's pose. So bring that right knee up to the sky. Now we can hold it up here if this is your preferred version. Just do another forward fold here. Or we're going to bend that foot behind us to stretch that quad. Point that toe straight back so the knees come together. So the knees come together, yep, and the toe points straight back so the top of the foot's on the floor. Yep. So half a hero's pose here and then forward fold over that straight leg. So we should get a nice quad stretch. So just begin to bring the body forward. Check in with that sensation. And then walk your hands back up and then maybe reach back and lower to your elbows going backwards. So we should feel a stretch in that quad. Again, be sure that that ankle isn't bent, but instead the toe is pointing straight back and the top of the ankle is straight down to the floor. That'll keep your knee in alignment. So knee should be touching, foot should be straight back. And then slowly bring the body back up. Release that leg, both feet back straight out. Let's take the left leg, cross it over the right. Forward fold here with crossed ankles. Bring the body forward. Again, this just is a little bit different stretch around the outside of that IT band and the outside of that left hip. And then this time, right hand reaching for the left foot. And then we're going to bring the body up and reach that left arm back and behind us for a twist. Really lift the heart and kick forward with that straight leg. And then back to the center. Both hands grab a hold of the left leg. Pull that leg up. Pull the heart towards the leg at the same time. Keep that right foot flexed. And then exhaling into head to knee. Let's bend that leg. Foot comes into your inner thigh. Knee opens up and forward fold over that straight leg. And then once again, lifting up. You can go into Marichiasana, just bring that knee up towards the ceiling, pausing here for that forward fold, or into half a hero. We're going to bring that right foot back in behind us again, point that toe straight back. So bring it to the outside of your hip. Yeah, there we go. And knees come together. Forward fold here, just check in with that sensation. If that's too uncomfortable, you can just stay upright. So be mindful of your knees. Sometimes these heroes poses, if we're not perfectly lined up, we might get a tweak in the knees. So just be mindful that we don't have any pain. You can always slide a block or a towel under that right hip to help level you off if you need to. Walk the hands up and then back onto your elbows so we can stretch the front of that quadricep. Again, maybe hug that big toe in as close as you can to your glutes. Pull that foot into your body. And then slowly bring the body up and release both legs straight into staff pose. One more time in the center here. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. And then we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to our mats. So bending your legs and rolling yourselves all the way down. Pause for just a moment, and then we're going to move into a couple more bridges. So from our reclined position, separate those feet and the thighs. Remember, everything parallel to each other. And then we're going to bring our hands by our sides and press up into our bridge pose. Now we can revisit what we did at the beginning. We can lift just a heel up off the floor. We can lift a foot up off the floor. So maybe lift that right foot off the floor and see if we can hover and suspend an inch or two off the mat, and then bring it down and then switch to the left foot, lifting it up off the mat, either just the heel or the whole foot. And we're going to just a couple more times, bring that foot down, release the back, give yourself a break, bring it down. So as we progress this, you can lift just the heel, you can lift the whole foot, or we're going to see about lifting the whole leg and reach your foot up to the sky. So pressing back up and lifting into bridge. Maybe lift the right foot up and reach it all the way to the sky with a straight leg. Press into the floor with that left heel. Really lift up, squeezing your glutes. And then bring that right leg down, switching sides. Press into the floor with the right leg. Lift the left leg up. Press into the floor with that right heel. Really lift up, squeeze the glutes. And then exhale and bring it back down. Allow the hips to come down to your mat and pause here. And then one more time, just lift into bridge. Press the hips up. This time go a little bit higher, so roll the shoulders under, maybe interlace the fingers underneath the back. Maybe reach into the heels, make sure that those thighs and shins stay parallel to each other. Keep that squeezing of the ball, that inward action. And then slowly release your back down to the floor. Knees come into your chest. And legs reach up to the sky, baby inversion here. Reach the legs straight up. And you can bring your hands underneath your hips. You can lift up into shoulder stand. You can do whatever inversion you like here. Taking about a minute to do so. Whatever's comfortable for you. Just enjoy your inversion at the end of your class. And feel free to shift around in this position, whatever's comfortable to you. You can do plow pose. You can do a wheel pose or a back bend. We didn't really work much with the chest and the shoulders, so we might not have the space there for that today. And then whenever you're ready, feel free to roll yourself back down to your mat. And we'll keep our right knee in towards our chest. Let the left leg go to the floor. Just revisiting our hamstring stretches from the beginning of class. Right leg reaches up towards the sky. Nice hamstring stretch here. Maybe bring the nose towards the knee, intensifying that stretch a little bit. And then release the torso down. Let's add the twist, or add the cross body. So left hand reaches for that right ankle, bring it across the body. Right arm reaches to the right side. So getting a little twist here as well as the stretch that outer hip. And then bringing it back to the center, we'll bring the left leg in. And then straightening that left leg. Maybe the nose towards the knee. And then release, taking it across the body, right hand to your left wrist, or ankle, sorry, and bring it across the body. And bringing it back to the center. And both knees into your chest. And any last little movement you need before relaxation, feel free to honor that. If you need a full body twist or knees together or wrapping the legs, whatever you need before relaxation, feel free to honor that message. And then find yourself into your relaxation pose when you're ready. So allow the legs to come down towards the floor. Allow your body to find your full relaxation pose. And then before we release, just go ahead and squeeze your glutes. Squeeze them like we did at the beginning of class. And then relax. And then again, squeeze. And then relax. Do that one more time. Squeeze. And then relax. And then just allow everything to relax and release down into the floor. And just continue to breathe. And maybe just soften the edges, soften the areas around the hip socket. Imagine if you had little knots there that they're untying. Imagine the rotator muscles just softening, the inner thighs softening, the glutes. And then even up through the belly and the chest. Allow everything to just relax and release. So we hold a lot of tension in our hip area. So it's important to release the area, but it's also important to have a nice strong glute, strong rotators. Helping our body to be as balanced as possible to carry us through space, carry us through our day, through running, walking, hiking, stair climbing, whatever movement your body needs. It's important to have strong glutes, strong hip flexors, strong abductors. And as always, feel free to stay in your relaxation pose for as long as it's comfortable for you. Feel free to push pause and just breathe for 5 to 10 minutes. Take a moment to reset and rejuvenate. And when you're ready, rolling to your favorite side, whichever one that might be, and then using your hands to push up to a seated position. If your eyes are closed, maybe try to keep them closed or only open them 1/10 to allow just enough light in for you to see your way. And then coming to your comfortable seated position. And sitting up nice and tall, take a big breath all the way in. Let it out with a sigh. And then allow your hands to come to heart center. And I honor the place in you where the universe resides, that place of love, light, peace, and truth. And when you are in that place in you, and I am in that place in me, there is only one of us. Namaste.
Namaste.